Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another session with the experts on the 100-day challenge. Very tough times for all of us here in India, and uh, I hope you guys are keeping safe. And it's very tough time with the COVID thing right now. And thankfully, I see a lot of activities taking place, so people are taking care of their health. And we have almost like every day 200 300 people posting their entries on the 100-day challenge. So um, we are on track. And I'm sure without COVID we would have been much better. But so this evening today we have Ritesh as our guest speaker today. And Ritesh is, I have not met him personally, but I know him because of Sangeet. She is going to moderate the show today, actually. Yeah, Neha was to moderate the show, but she got her vaccine yesterday, and then the side effects of vaccine taking over, and she is down with fever. So last minute, I asked Sangeet to moderate Ritesh's show, and I don't need to introduce much about Sangeet. I think most of you know she is my sister, and she's based out of Calcutta and a cancer survivor. And she was treated. I mean, I'll say Ritesh took care of her whole diet when she was going through the treatment. So Ritesh, or whatever more about Ritesh and all this, I think Sangeet can say better. And I just hand over to Sangeet to take over from here. And guys, if you have any questions anytime, you can leave it on the chat room, and we'll pick it up from there, and Ritesh will be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Bhai, for the wonderful introduction. Yes, it's awesome to be a part of 100-day challenge beyond being a participant. A very good evening, everyone. And I really hope everyone's holding up well in these challenging times. So I'm your accidental moderator today. As Sandeep mentioned, Neha is not doing too well. It's for me personally, it's a great pleasure and honor to be on this session with the two gentlemen who've literally handheld me in my efforts to lead a healthier life in last 2 years. Ritesh was introduced by a very good friend at a very challenging phase, as Sandeep mentioned, a couple of years back, where right nutrition and food were a very integral part of my recovery and healing. And from there on, Ritesh has been a constant support for all things nutrition. I absolutely admire his scientific approach to guiding on what's right for you. Since he has undergone intense learning, about physiology and nutrition from Harvard Medical School, Stanford Medical School, and Tufts University. And more importantly, he's transformed his own life. And I would request Ritesh to spend a couple of minutes to tell people what your transformation journey has been like, which has brought you here. He's helped thousands of people world over lead a healthy life, and I'm one of them. He's a fourth generation entrepreneur with a family history in manufacturing, an MBA from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He runs a big data firm, Quanta Analytics. Ritesh has spoken at the Prime Minister's office, at NITI Aayog, Invest India, and a lot of forums like YPO, Flow, and many alike. So I won't take much time of yours, and I thank Ritesh for being a part of this today and spending so much time with us. And now I hand over to you, Ritesh.
Sure. Thank you very much. So first of all, let me just say, actually, the honor is mine to be on a show with you, because you are somebody who symbolizes courage. You're somebody who symbolizes grit. You're somebody who actually follows what someone says. जैसे कहते हैं ना, एडवाइस देना बहुत आसान है, बट करना बहुत मुश्किल है. तो आप उनमें से हैं जिन्होंने एक्चुअली किया है. एडवाइस तो मैं सबको देता हूँ, बट 1000 को देते हैं तो 10 आदमी करते हैं. So you're one of those 10. So actually, I have admiration for you.
Thank
This is
you.
the other way around. So I have great respect for you. I'm very deeply honored to be here with you. But let me start with my story. You did mention a little bit. I think it's useful for others to know, because actually in my story lies hope, and that's really the starting point of anything you want to do with your health. Because हर एक इंसान की जिंदगी में एक ऐसा समय आता है when you're like a domesticated horse. आप अब एक स्थिति पे पहुंच गए जहां आपको लगता है कि भाई इसके आगे और कुछ नहीं होने वाला. अब उम्र हो रही है. I'm growing older, and as part and parcel of growing older, ache, pain, stomach, head, leg, sleep, anxiety, ये सब normal चीज है. जैसे हम लोग as we age, we sort of develop all these problems. So at 40, I was literally, I think, karma. I met somebody in the US accidentally. He got me onto this path of health. As you know, I'm someone who's actually died almost 13 times in my life, from being in a near plane crash to multiple car accidents, all kinds of things. So to me, this is my 14th life. If I could live 14 lives, so can everyone else listening in. And if this can be that one life where you can literally transform your health, I think you would have done wonders for yourself. So I literally, at the age of 40, went ahead and reversed my diabetes, asthma, something that everyone said is not possible. I had terrible sleep issues. I would sleep like 3-4 hours a night. That disappeared. I had allergies all my life. Ever since I was like 7 or 8, I can always remember having allergies. Those just disappeared. Fatigue disappeared. Acidity just completely disappeared. Literally in 15 days, my acidity was gone. So the real story I want to tell you is a story of hope. Agar somebody like me with no medical background, who used to make cement, 10 years ago, can literally transform his life, then all you need to do is understand how. ऐसा क्या जादू था? मैंने ऐसा क्या किया? And if once you understand that science, then actually you'd be a fool. I'm sorry to say this, but you'd be a fool not to change your life, because the power lies in your hand. And what I'm hoping to do in the next 30-40 minutes is transfer that power to your hand. अगर आपके हाथ में वो समझ आ जाए एक सेकंड के लिए कि भाई यही करना है, उसके बाद में फिर आपकी मर्जी. So that's really what I'm going to try and spend that 30 minutes talking about.
Great. That's wonderful. So, I believe most of us are, dealing with some or the other lifestyle disease challenge, and they've started much earlier than it did in our parents' generation. And with the kind of stressful life we all lead, we really can't get on to that restrictions, or medication or limitations, which are required, which come with these kind of diseases. So that's why it was really nice of you to recommend this topic, which I'm sure will resonate with most of the people out here. So would, love to hear from you on this.
Sure. So let me just start with lifestyle diseases. That's the topic that we're sort of covering. The story lies in the statement, because जब आप कहते हैं lifestyle disease, then by definition it means आपका lifestyle ने आपको disease दिया. So which means अगर आपका lifestyle और कुछ हो, तो आपको ये सारे lifestyle diseases नहीं होंगे. It's literally as simple as that, right? So I think that's the first starting point.
Absolutely.
Lifestyle diseases are different from what they call communicable diseases. Something that you can get from someone else.
Right.
Yeah. The environment, or perhaps someone else as well. Lifestyle diseases are self-inflicted. So I just very quickly run through a couple: diabetes, hypertension, a fatty liver condition, cardiovascular risk, even in fact negative impact on your kidney, stress and anxiety. I'm not talking about clinical stress and anxiety, but that basic stress and anxiety that all of us go through. These are all lifestyle diseases. So these are all, I'd say, in the realm of what is possible to reverse. What we need to do is understand why you got them. And then once you understand why you got them, it's very easy to solve, right? So what I'd like to do is to focus on the Gangotri, right? So what happens in medical science is literally you're dealing with your body at 3 different levels. The level at the top is the medicine or the cure. So किसी ने आपको कोई दवाई दिया, आपको hypertension हुआ, किसी ने आपको दवाई दिया. Very necessary. I have no argument with anyone advocating medicines, because unless you do something else, that medicine is saving your life.
Right.
But the medicine is the cure. The symptom was your blood pressure went up. आपका blood pressure 150, 110 हो गया, या 180, 120 हो गया, जो भी. So that's the symptom. The question you have to ask yourself is, why did I get it? What was the cause of the hypertension? What was the cause of the diabetes? What was the cause of the fatty liver? Because देखिए डॉक्टर के पास आप जाएंगे तो बेचारा क्या करेगा? आप बीमार हैं, आपको हाइपरटेंशन है, आपको फैटी लिवर है, if he or she does not give you medicine, तो वो क्या कर सकता है? और कुछ नहीं कर सकता.
Right.
So let's not blame the medical community. It's not their fault.
True.
The accountability lies with me. Right. So let's for 2 seconds then try and understand the source. Source बहुत सरल है. Source is basically a very simple principle called homeostasis. Yeah, don't get caught by my technical jargon. It just means balance. Let me give you a crude analogy. Imagine for 1 second, आप और हम पंखा है. We were a fan. We were the fan hanging in my ceiling. Right? Now, अगर पंखा है कोई भी, तो उसका एक capacity होता है. Right? Let's say Bajaj ने बनाया, he said you can make this fan run at 30 RPM.
Right.
आप उसको 28 पे चला सकते हैं, 32 पे चला सकते हैं. That's the capacity of the fan. It's a physical object.
True.
It can run within certain physical constraints. Right? Now, what makes you think that your body is any different? Why should a human body, in your head, defy all constraints?
Right.
How can you imagine that I can drink 20 beers at night and मेरे बदन को कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए? How is it possible? ये तो संभव नहीं है. Because there is a physical capacity.
Yes.
So the first really important principle of understanding source of your problem is to recognize the fact that we have constraints. We are physical entities. We have physical constraints. अगर वो physical constraint के अंदर आप रहेंगे तो कोई problem नहीं है. अगर वो physical constraint से बाहर चले जाएंगे, naturally कुछ ना कुछ होगा. The second naturally immediate question you'll ask, but मेरे को तो कुछ नहीं हुआ. कल शाम को मैंने 20 बियर पिया तो था, but कुछ हुआ तो नहीं मेरे को. Right? So now that's the second principle that's useful to understand. The symptoms of whatever you do take 5, 10, 15, 20 years to show up. Right? It doesn't happen overnight. Because there's this wonderful concept called homeostasis. It's the body's actually, sort of using to normalize, to say कि सब ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, कल रात को बियर पी लिया था बहुत सारा, इसको ठीक कर देता हूँ मैं. Right? So it'll make you do something, whatever that something. Use the washroom or throw up or whatever, right? But वो निकल जाएगा. जो भी आपने extra alcohol पिया, that'll all come out. So day after day after day, this keeps happening. One day suddenly that dam breaks. It's 25 years later. 25 years later, you're not blaming that beer, no? That you drank when you're 15.
True.
Yeah, so that's the problem. These things take time to show up. Okay. In the interim, your body was trying somehow to keep you normal. And you're every day waking up and saying, कुछ तो नहीं हुआ. If Ritesh पता नहीं क्या पागलपन कर रहा है, पता नहीं क्या क्या बोलते रहता है, क्या homeostasis, पता नहीं क्या बकवास है ये, मेरे को तो कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. But it'll catch up. And then someday, sometime, I say 35, 36, is that inflection point. Most people start to see very severe symptoms. Yeah. So I'll just summarize the two really important, let's say, root causes of most lifestyle diseases is that we are not living within our parameters, and the effects of that don't show up overnight. It takes time to show up.
Okay. I guess we just take it for granted when we are in our 20s and 30s, thinking this is not the age for us to limit our indulgences, or my body can handle it right now, and we don't think that far. We don't think that we'll see. We think jab hoga, we'll deal with it when we land up there, or I'm gymming, I'm working out, or I'm eating healthy most of the nights. So it's okay. So yeah, I guess we're very complacent till something really hits. I'm an example of that.
I can give you my own example. I went to study in Bombay at the age of 15, and somehow I got into my notion that I should be very cautious with how I spend money. Okay. And so essentially, I was eating vada pav 3 times a day. It was the cheapest thing available in Bombay.
Right.
That's pretty much all I ate for 5 years.
Right.
And at that time, I thought my goals were very different. My goals was to show to myself that I could live on like 25 rupees a day. I did not think about my health.
True. Yeah. At 15, the perspective is completely different.
Very different.
Yeah, totally. The priorities are different. True. So what's your thought on going forward? So how does one assess, where do I stand, and what are the components in my life that I need to look at to figure out what I need to fix?
Absolutely. So again, let me just repeat for everyone's clarity. We are talking about balance, and we're talking about the effects of this balance showing up over time, not immediately.
Right.
If you want to achieve this balance, let's first focus on nutrition, because that's probably the most important aspect you can fix.
Right.
The easiest aspect to fix also, perhaps. That's how I started with myself. I just fixed my nutrition, and 90% of my problems went away. So the same concept of balance will apply. I'll just make it simple for everyone. Imagine for a minute my daily requirements are 1,000 calories. It's an arbitrary number. I'm just making it up.
Right.
Yeah, but just let's say my daily requirements are 1,000. Yeah. If I eat 2,000, my body is just literally going to say, thank you very much. Hanumanji was kind today. I got extra 1,000, which normally I might not have got.
Right.
So what the body does is it stores that extra 1,000 in and around your liver. Yeah. So
okay.
as time passes,
Okay.
months, years, decades even pass. Slowly, all that excess that is getting stored in and around your liver
Right.
becomes what you call a fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver. It's just literally accumulated fat over many, many, many years.
Okay.
Yeah? Then what happens is very quickly the liver starts to get tired also. It says, listen, I can't do so much. Let me release some of this fat into the bloodstream. Yeah. Now your body has a miraculous fat transport system. Okay. As the liver is releasing this fat, it's carried on something called LDL. LDL is the, let's say, outbound transport. It carries fat from your liver into your body, necessary for you to survive.
Right.
Yeah. But then you also have something called HDL, which brings it back. Right. So just simple basic transportation. एक गाड़ी अगर बाहर गया तो एक गाड़ी वापस आया. Right. If this ratio is okay, no problem at all. If the total number of cars going out are okay, no problem at all. Where do you get into difficulty? When you have many, many cars going, but fewer cars coming back. All that fat starts to accumulate in your arteries. You start getting, blockages.
Right.
Over time, that will calcify and become plaque. And then suddenly now you're dealing with cardiovascular risk.
True.
Yeah. As your arteries are getting clogged, there's blood flowing through your arteries, 5 liters of blood in, one estimate, 100,000 miles of arteries and veins in your body. Simple basic physics, right? If something is flowing through a pipe,
right,
and every couple of meters is getting obstacles, right? What's going to happen? Friction will go up.
True.
Because the blood still has to flow.
Right. And passages.
So you start getting blood pressure.
Right.
Yeah. And then the final, insult, if I will, all that excess that is going, right, the extra 1,000 calories that you ate, also brought excess sugar. Yeah. Now, what is excess sugar? When we're talking about diabetes, that was the main, primary topic. Diabetes का problem क्या है? Problem ये है कि आपके खून में बहुत सारा चीनी है. Right? The doctor is very worried because your morning fasting is more than your normal. So 70 to 100 is the normal.
Right.
Let's say आपका morning fasting 120, 130, 140 कुछ भी आया. Right? What is that measure? That measure is basically saying कि आपके खून में 140 molecules of sugar are floating around. Right? आया कहाँ से? आपने वो extra 1,000 calories खाया इसलिए आया? Right? Now here's the miracle. The miracle is that your body produces 2 million red blood cells every second. I will repeat this again. Your body produces 2 million red blood cells every second. Red blood cells is the cell on which your sugar attaches. जब आपके बदन में चीनी जाता है, remember you don't produce sugar endogenously. बदन नहीं बनाता चीनी, आपने खाया है इसलिए गया. So चीनी गया, red blood cell में attach हुआ. Right? That red blood cell is now carrying it all over your blood, and doctor कह रहा है आपका blood sugar high हो गया. But you have 2 million red blood cells being produced every second, none of which have sugar. So do the math, 72 days में आपका सारा red blood cell नया है. तो अगर आपने चीनी का level control कर लिया, the input of the sugar went down, you went back to the 1,000 calories or whatever, आपका चीनी 3 महीने में गायब हो गया.
Okay. Is that
it's
really
literally
that
as simple as that?
That sounds too, too easy, too doable.
Yes, but that's the irony. It is really that easy. What are people doing? Because their sugar levels are high, what happens is actually when the sugar in your blood is high, it starts to damage everything it touches. So for example, it'll prevent a cell from absorbing other nutrients, other beneficial things that are sort of to sort of go into your cell. Right? The sugar creates a coating and prevents things from going into your cell. That is why it's harmful.
Okay, so it's not letting the other cells and organs perform at their best because
function.
Yeah, right.
Function, right? So डॉक्टर क्या कहता है? डॉक्टर कह रहा है कि लोग आपका चीनी बहुत हाई है, इसको मेरे को कन्वर्ट करके या तो फैट में कन्वर्ट करना है या बदन से हटा देना. The enzyme required for that is insulin. Right? So imagine for a minute it was one part sugar, one part insulin. अगर आपने 4 पार्ट चीनी खाया तो आपको 4 पार्ट इंसुलिन का जरूरत हुआ. Right? So डॉक्टर कहता है आप तो 2 ही बना सकते हैं, 2 मैं दे देता हूं आपको. And that's how we are treating all diabetic patients. But if that 4 became 2 or 1 even or 1.5, then I don't need that extra insulin.
Right.
So it's literally actually that simple.
Okay. Why do people say that when you are stressed, that adds to your sugar?
Sure. It's a very good question, very intelligent question. Reason is very simple. The body is designed to deal with stress for like 30, 40, 50 seconds, right? Because your body's response to stress was designed for, say 20,000 years ago when you saw a tiger, lion, snake in the jungle, and the body had to sort of prepare itself to run or fight whatever you saw. Right. So that fight flight.
Survival.
Exactly. Yeah. So your body produces something called cortisol.
Okay.
Your body will basically sort of flood itself with adrenaline, cortisol.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that's meant to happen for 30, 40 seconds. The energy required for cortisol is sugar. Okay. Now imagine that you're stressed 24 hours of the day, which is the kind of lives we all live.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So your body is constantly going to crave sugar. What choice do you have at that time? You will give yourself sugar, no? Excess sugar. Okay. And that's the link between sugar cravings, right, and a stressful sort of, a stressed person.
That's interesting. I always had that curiosity that, why people generally just say that, oh, my sugar level went up because I'm going through a lot of stress at work or whatever.
Yeah.
So then,
because you have no choice actually at that point.
Right. So then keeping the current lifestyle that most of us lead, keeping that in mind, then we need to work on both food as well as, I guess, state of mind or the stress level and exercise.
So
let's talk about, how do we, if it's that easy, for people to just fight with diabetes or overcome it with just controlling the calories, then why aren't we, why are we still having millions of people,
so many people
getting it, and youngsters, so many of people getting it as well.
Sure. No, so I don't think it is my intent to trivialize the suffering that people have.
Right.
It's not my intent to trivialize the difficulty of overcoming this. Right. I think what I'm only trying to emphasize the simplicity of the science. The science is simple. Implementing it is very difficult. That is why I gave a lot of tribute to you, because bolna aasan hai, karna bahut mushkil hai. So I'm not in any way trying to trivialize the effort required to overcome this.
Right.
I think the point I'm making literally is that the science is simple, but let me focus on the stress side of this as well.
Yes.
Your body is holistic, right? Your body works as a whole, right? Just like any other, let's say entity functioning. Everything works with each other, right? Your liver, kidney, thyroid, pancreas, brain, heart, everything. Yeah, they all interact with each other.
Absolutely.
Right? And all of them will obviously affect each other.
True.
Yeah. So let me start by first saying that what is stress to me is, I have a bank loan, I have an EMI, somebody called me asking for something. These are the kinds of things that stresses me emotionally.
Right.
As far as the body is concerned, it couldn't care less, right?
Right.
I mean, the body doesn't care about your EMI.
Yeah.
So what does the body care about? The body cares about survival. Yeah. Survival means that I get every single thing I need to eat, because only then can I survive. Right? Imagine I need 10 things to function and you gave yourself only 5. Where's the 5 going to come from? Right? So those 5 are missing. Right? And the body is telling itself, look, these 5 are missing. I don't think I can survive. That is stress to the body.
Right.
So I think the first thing to do is to fix your nutrition. That itself will lower a significant amount of the stress in your body. Second, remember that your happy hormone, serotonin, is also produced in your gut and produced by breaking down protein and fiber together. So consume adequate protein and fiber so that at least you give yourself a fighting chance. At least whatever serotonin your body is capable of producing is being produced. Yeah. The third really interesting aspect about stress is actually your breathing. Because again, like I said, everything is interrelated. When you get this stress, this insane levels of stress, basically realizing or not realizing it, you will start breathing very rapidly. The reason is your body is trying to take in a lot of oxygen because it believes it requires this oxygen for that running that you're going to do, because the body still thinks I saw a tiger. So lots of oxygen required. But one of the side effects of that, you're going to put out a lot of carbon dioxide. Yeah? As you breathe in oxygen, obviously by definition, you will put out the carbon dioxide. Now this has a very funny sort of an effect on you. When your body has low carbon dioxide levels, because you breathed out too much carbon dioxide, actually the blood acidity falls. And that in turn actually triggers a panic attack. Right? So if you want to deal with the stress side of it, obviously fix your nutrition. Yeah, make sure that that's okay. And make sure that your breathing is okay, which is what, pranayam teaches you, Ayurveda teaches you. I was someone who grew up laughing at all these things, right? Saying, what is this rubbish? Till I realized that breathing is life.
True. Interesting. So there is food, stress, breathing.
Yes.
And staying happy, if I put it as simply as that.
Sure. So again, I learned something very interesting. Again, literally after mocking everyone around me. But these are experiential things. Only when you sort of practice it and you see the value, then you realize the merit. So I started doing meditation. I do something called Zazen. It's a very interesting form of meditation. Obviously, in the beginning, I was like, what is this rubbish, right? Because we're all used to that hit, no? Maine coffee piya, 5 seconds baad, I got that hit.
Right.
But meditation में तो ऐसा कोई hit नहीं होता.
So what
6 महीने
is
तक कुछ नहीं होता.
True. So what is this meditation? Sounds interesting.
So it's called Zazen. You can find your own. There's no right way of meditating. Zazen basically says you just sit down, and you're not even in some sense sort of trying to do something. You're not chanting a mantra. You're not thinking. You're not trying not to think. You're just sitting. The fact that you're sitting in meditation itself is Zazen. And I found that to be extremely rewarding. My wife will vouch for me, vouch for what I say. Today, I'm a much, much, much calmer person than I was 10 years ago.
Okay. Good. Now, how do we do this calorie deficit path? How do we, choose to be on that path and stay on that path? What is more important is staying on that path.
Sure, absolutely. Sure. It's a really good question. So I think the first thing I'd like to say, and with all respect to anyone else who either has spoken in this forum or has any expertise in this field, what I really strongly advocate is please don't diet. Okay, a diet is never good for you. By definition, a diet is going to harm you in the long run. Right? Now, I need to be clear. What do I mean by a diet? A diet basically means if I needed 1,000 calories and I needed 10 things, you either ate 500 or you ate 5 things or both. Yeah. If you want to actually live a good, healthy, balanced life, eat the 1,000 calories, eat all 10 things. I guarantee you your diabetes, acidity, hypertension, all of that will disappear. If you're really desperate to lose weight, eat 950. Just for your understanding, that is half a piece of bread less. Half a piece of bread is 50 calories. 6 peanuts, if I remember correctly, is 50 calories. So if you just ate 6 peanuts less in a day, you are in deficit. And that's all you need. So eat the 1,000 calories, eat the 10 things your body requires. And that's all you need to do. If you want to calculate your calories, there's something called the Harris-Benedict formula. You can just do a Google search, put in your statistics. It'll tell you exactly how much you need.
Does it work for like Indian food too?
Yeah. Because see, your body doesn't understand Indian food. आपके बदन को Indian, Chinese, Punjabi, Marwadi सबका कोई समझ नहीं.
Right. But for me to calculate calories, that tonight I ate such and such food, say, for example, I ate something traditionally Rajasthani or whatever. So I've never gotten into one of these calorie counting things, but curious that, how do I kind of assess these extraordinary things that we end up having in our diets.
Sure. No, so I think I would not advocate counting calories because the cliff will come very quickly. 10 days later, you'll be like, what is this rubbish, right? I can't count and measure and weigh everything I'm eating.
True.
So I think the simpler yardstick to use is if you've got symptoms. अगर आपका वजन बढ़ रहा है, आपका blood pressure बढ़ रहा है, आपका blood sugar बढ़ रहा है, आपका acidity ठीक नहीं है. Like if these are the symptoms that you're experiencing, clearly you're eating more than you require. Right? So whatever you're eating, उसको 30% कम कर दीजिए. देखिए क्या होता है. अगर आपका वजन कम हो गया, आपका एसिडिटी कम हो गया, तो यू आर ऑन द राइट पाथ. 40 कर लीजिए फिर. Again, you're on the right path. There will come a time when it'll start becoming too much. Stop at that point. It's very simple. There's no need to count anything.
Just timely, there's a question. Do we really need a calculator?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Now, how there's a lot of, I would say myths, or there's a lot of misunderstanding or confusion about fruits when it comes to diabetes. I always hear different things from different people. This is right to have, this is not right to have. Or if you had some of this, then compensate with not having something else. And so if you can throw some lights on fruits.
Yeah, sure. No, so it's perfectly okay to have fruits. What's not okay is to have fruits, then have lots of junk, then have mithai, then have lots of grain, then have lots of rice, and then have lots of something else. And because then the overall quantity is too much. If the overall quantity is in check and a part of that was fruits, it's perfectly okay. There's no problem at all. Any fruit, frankly. I've been eating mango every day for the last 10 days and my weight has gone down. But why? Because I eat mango for breakfast, mango for lunch, and I eat one meal in dinner. So overall, I'm in balance. I'm still in that 1,000 calorie. So the mango is not the culprit. It's too much that is the culprit.
Okay. So what should be, what should be a combination of things in a day-to-day diet in terms of, I know it's all out there in Google and it's all out there that people can look up but hearing it from someone who's had the scientific way of learning the basics, it would really help to understand from you.
Of course. So then there's 6. Obviously, there are other classes that I don't mention.
Right.
But I would eat fruits. I would eat vegetables. I would eat lentils. I would eat good fat. I would eat something called probiotic.
Okay.
Right. These are the classes of food that I would eat.
Okay.
If you eat these, grains, 6. So these are the 6 classes of food I would eat.
Okay.
As long as you're eating these 6 classes of food, you've got everything you require.
Okay.
In addition, if you're non-vegetarian, you want to eat chicken, egg, fish, those also okay. In moderation, they're all fine.
Okay. And so, any kind of balance, if you can kind of, guide on an overall guidance of how do you balance between these 6 components?
Sure, absolutely. So the bulk of it should be fruits and vegetables. That's what your body needs the most. So I'd say 60% fruits and vegetables in a day. I'd say about 10% lentil. I'd say 10% fat, 10% nuts and seeds, and then 10% everything else, grain, whatever else you're eating, 10%. If you just break down your food in that manner, everything's fine. Now, if you want to find an easier way to calculate, I eat fruits for breakfast. So, 33% of my meal is fruit. I eat vegetables, 33% for lunch. So 66% of my food is already, just fruits and vegetables. I will eat a little bit of nuts and seeds for tea. So that's like, say, 10%, 73%. And dinner, usually I'll have some dal or I'll have some grain or something like that with a little bit of vegetable again. And that gives me my balance.
That's an easier way to, simplify.
Yeah.
So is that to avoid mixing the components that you've taken this approach, or it's to keep it simple that, okay, I've gotten my 33% or...
Yeah, no, it's this. So I'm just following it to keep it simple.
Okay.
I know there are Ayurveda, for example, says never combine yogurt and fruit, right? But I eat yogurt and fruit every single morning.
Okay.
And in my head, I'm telling myself, listen, my breakfast 10 years ago was bhujia.
Right.
Sorry, I don't have anything against bhujia, but between bhujia and yogurt and fruit, I'd rather eat yogurt and fruit.
Right.
So हाँ, आयुर्वेदा कहता नहीं combine करो. मैं से ठीक है यार, कम से कम fruit और दही तो खा रहा हूँ.
True. And this very typical notion about potato and rice. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, in moderation is fine.
Okay.
I was writing an article recently. I write every day, as you know. So potato has a high amount of protein. I didn't know this, but 100 grams of potato has 4 grams of protein.
Oh, interesting.
So ऐसा नहीं है कि potato में कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा कोई जलील चीज है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. The problem is when you eat too many potatoes.
Or also the way it's cooked, I guess.
Like if you can have it, what they call al dente in the Italian sort of term, you undercook it a little bit. I eat mostly sweet potato, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't eat very much like the regular potato.
Okay.
I also eat it with the skin, by the way, because the skin is really good for fiber, and a lot of the nutrition actually lies in the skin.
Okay. Now, this is one thing I think you must be getting asked every day, and I guess every forum I hear this question about intermittent fasting.
Sure.
Your thoughts?
Sure, absolutely. No, so it's wonderful for you. It's something I practice every day. Okay. I think what you should not confuse intermittent with is that it's a weight loss, plan. Because if you ate nothing for 23 hours and ate 2,000 calories in 1 hour, then again you're still in surplus. No? So it's not a way to lose weight. It's a great way to detoxify your body. So the science is simple. Your liver has glycogen for roughly about 14 hours. At 14 hours, the glycogen runs out, sugar runs out. And then your body starts looking around saying, okay, where should I get my energy? I don't really want to go to the stored fat. So at that point in time, from 14 hours onward, your body starts looking around and scavenging all the dead toxic cells in your body. So if you did 14 plus 6, 14 plus 2, 14 plus 4, whatever, in that last phase, your body is literally detoxifying everything in your body. It's a term called autophagy. Japanese scientists won a Nobel Prize for this.
Okay.
So that's the real value of fasting. If you want to remove the toxins from your body, please fast. The peak benefit occurs at 72 hours. And then, of course, there's long fast.
Yeah, we've
but
done
in the
that.
shorter version, 72 hours is peak. If you can do it without water, it's even better. But build up, no? Do like 15 the first time, 16 the next time, 18 the next time, then do it without water, then do 20, and so on and so forth.
Staying without water for 72 hours is that, how does that help the body? We always under that notion that you must have your 8 to 10 glasses of water every day.
Yeah.
So
I mean, see, on a regular basis, absolutely.
Right.
There's no question that I'm not saying don't drink water anymore. I'm just saying don't drink it when you're fasting. That also, I don't want to advocate this as the first thing you do. This is something that might take you 3 to 5 years to get to. But I'm just saying the science is that when your body is bereft of all food and water, actually what happens is, the human growth hormone starts to sort of come into play. Your body starts producing new cells. Those cells are good and healthy. And that's why that 72-hour fast is actually very good for you. But again, something you want to build up to, not something you want to start with.
Okay. Some very typical myths, if there are certain myths that you would like to burst around diabetes specifically. What you often get from people or notions which you come across. Most people who come to you have this mindset about diabetes or certain things that they've been hearing from people, and it's kind of built in their head that this adds to diabetes, or this is okay to have or not okay to have. Are there certain myths that you think you can help us understand?
Let me try and say 5 or 6.
Sure.
I think the first is obviously they can't be reversed. I think that's not true. I think the science stacks up that it is reversible. If you're not careful, it'll come back. But that's true of pretty much anything in the world. Yeah. The second is that the medicine is the only answer. No, lifestyle is a well documented answer to managing your diabetes. The lifestyle is what I'm saying. Manage your control your intake, control your balance, do all of that. That now worldwide they're beginning to recognize that is possible. The third thing is that there is a thing that will give you diabetes. सो रसगुल्ला मत खाओ, आपको डायबिटीज हो जाएगा, गुलाब जामुन मत खाओ, आपको डायबिटीज हो जाएगा, चॉकलेट मत खाओ, आपको डायबिटीज हो जाएगा, राइट? Actually, it's not a thing. Everything will give you diabetes. I mean, I'm going to go so far as to say that, frankly, if you drank olive oil, right, and you drank lots and lots and lots of olive oil, and you drank 3,000 calories of oil every day for like 20 years, not possible, but I'm just trying to exaggerate for effect.
Right.
Yeah. Even that will give you high sugar in the long run, because what will happen? All that excess will get stored. Right. So you don't want to vilify a class of food. It's not a class of food that's giving you diabetes. It's everything together that's giving you the diabetes.
Right. Okay. Jaggery, honey, sugar. I'm sure that's also something that, all of us, we've never had any clarity on this, and there are sugar substitutes as well, it's easy for some people to get over the cravings of sweets because you give health a priority. It's a little challenging for some to give up the sweets they've grown up eating with or has been part of their diet. Now, there are some recipes you can substitute, with whatever you choose to substitute with. There are some recipes you may not be able to substitute, like, some of the very, very deshi mithai, things that are traditionally made at home. I don't know, you possibly can't substitute that with gourd or honey or something. I'm not sure. What's your take on having honey, having jaggery versus sugar, and also the sugar substitutes?
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, if this is more diabetic specific, then if you are really somebody who's got high sugar, then clearly I would say, be careful before you consume these things. It's only going to add to your problem. You're going to have to take away something else to have the
jaggery and honey.
Yeah, it's not much difference. They're all the same. Sugar content will vary a little bit.
Okay.
But at the end, it's additional sugar, which means aapko ek phal kamti khana padega. So you're substituting an apple with 2 spoons of honey in that sense. Because overall to aapko balance mein rehna padega.
True.
Now, as far as the actual sort of value or benefit of sugar, I have, I'd say, a little bit of jaggery. It's got minerals. So therefore, I have jaggery once in a while. I also ask people to have jaggery if their iron levels are low. It is one method to sort of at least temporarily increase your iron. So there are reasons why you would have jaggery. The others, at least I don't advocate anyone having either. I don't want to step on any toes. So I'm just
absolutely.
Let me stop here.
Absolutely, totally understandable. So is there something I missed out or something you had in mind which you think is really important to address or share? So let's quickly get to that, and then I see a few questions, so we'll go get to that.
No, I'd just like to summarize by saying that, look, like I started my conversation, please have hope. That's really the starting point of trying to create transformation. Believe that there are answers available. You need to find somebody who understands what's going on. Have one or two conversations, do your own research, and you'll quickly discover that there are well-discovered, well-documented answers for at least lifestyle diseases. Yeah, and so I'd say just look, because there are answers available.
What are the other lifestyle diseases that you often come across, which people are able to reverse by incorporating the same changes that you spoke about?
Sure. So I think the conditions that I've seen a lot in the last 5 years, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, kidney conditions, harder to reverse or manage, but certainly that's something we've seen, fatty liver, weight, and then type 2 diabetes, of course. These are the 5, 6 that I think we see a lot. Then there's indigestion, which has multiple sort of radial outcomes. So constipation, gas, acidity, stomach pain. I'd say that's the bulk of it. Of course, we also see a lot of people with stress and anxiety. We just live in stressful times. I'd say that's the gamut of things that we've been, I think, sort of those are the kinds of people who are coming to us.
Okay. So there's something you really helped me was working on toxins, in everyday life. I know it's a topic by itself, and that possibly needs a session. But that's something I haven't seen many people address, in my interactions with other people who are, into nutrition or, have good knowledge. So if you can just spend a couple of minutes, on our day-to-day toxins and how we can, try to eliminate some of it, the smallest of steps. If a couple of minutes you can speak on that, because I really benefited from there, and would like others to know too.
Sure, of course. Thank you. Thank you. No, really appreciate you asking this. So yeah, absolutely. I think we miss often in our quest to solve global problems, right? Global warming and so on and so forth. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be solved, but what you need to solve is what is immediate, like what is bothering you. So there are three things that bother a person: anything that touches you, anything in your environment, and anything that you're ingesting. Right? So clothes, cosmetics, shampoo, soap, these are kinds of things that touch you. Anything you ingest means air, food, right? And obviously in your environment, whatever is there, those are the kinds of things that are going to harm you. Now, if you really think about your life, you'll find 80-90% of your life revolves around your house, your office, and any transport. We're not traveling so much now.
Right.
But let's say normal times, those are the three places where you spend the bulk of your time.
Right.
If you cut back the toxicity from anything that is touching your body, anything that you're ingesting, and the environment around you, actually you cut back a significant amount of the toxicity going into your body. Because when that toxicity goes into your body, where does it go? It's going to go into your cell.
Right.
And your cell is now tasked with fighting the toxin, as opposed to doing what it's supposed to do. Right. So that toxin is going to create problem. Multiple cells then start getting harmed. And then over time, the cell capacity, or what you call immunity, that's getting compromised. No? So I would certainly pay a lot of attention, but like you said, it's a separate subject. My God, you can
You
if
can
you
just
start,
go
you
on,
would be here till 8 o'clock.
Right, true.
Yeah.
So, so let's just get to the questions.
Sure.
So one question I see many people are asking, is diabetes genetic, and is that a myth, or there is some truth to it?
Sure. That's a very good question. No, of course. I mean, if you went to any doctor, they'd ask for history, right? Mom, dad, whatever. They'd definitely ask for history. So what the doctor is really trying to do is to assess whether you're genetically predisposed, right? Now, let's say you are, but that still means that the gene has to express, right? So if you provided an environment for the gene to express by living a poor lifestyle, then by definition it express. But if you had a disposition, but you did not give it that environment, you lived a good, healthy life, then certainly your risk is much lower.
It didn't thrive. It further didn't thrive in you, that same condition.
Exactly, because it's genetic, sure. Nobody's arguing against that.
Right.
But it's not like you have no choice. Just because my mom had it, I'm going to get diabetes. Aisa nahi.
But then I need to start, living very consciously, since I know that the precondition does lie there.
Gee, and not only you, also your mom. Because, even if mom has it and she's 70 years old, it doesn't matter. It can be reversed at 70. Right. Because जैसे मैंने कहा 2 million नए cells बनते हैं हर second. आपके माँ के भी तो नए cells बन रहे हैं.
True.
खाली आपके नहीं बन रहे.
True. That's right. Solution for sugar craving?
Sure, it's a great question. So it's important to understand why you get that craving in the first place. कि देखिए आपके बदन में हर चीज का एक बैलेंस चाहिए, राइट? अब मान लीजिए आप लोअर लेवल पे थे, कोई भी कारण से आपने बहुत सारा कुछ मीठा खा लिया, आपका चीनी का लेवल बहुत बढ़ गया, योर बॉडीज होमियोस्टेसिस विल किक इन एंड से बहुत सारा चीनी आ गया, इसको ठीक करके घटाओ. जब वो घटाता है तो घटाते घटाते एक्चुअली लोअर लेवल से भी नीचे चला जाता है. दैट्स व्हेन यू आर गेटिंग अ क्रेविंग. A craving is a deficiency, right? So the answer is you stay within your limits. आपके सारे craving गायब हो जाएंगे. कोई sugar का craving नहीं होगा.
So you just limit your intake, so you don't have the craving. Don't refrain yourself completely from it, that you're fighting the craving.
Exactly. So that cycle needs about 10, 12 days, 15 days to break.
Right.
15 दिन naturally थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा. But if you give yourself 15 days and break that cycle, all your cravings will go away.
Okay, interesting. Is there any link between depression and lifestyle diseases? Yeah,
it's a difficult question. My answer is both yes and no, because it depends on the nature of what you're dealing with. Like I mentioned, stress, anxiety. आप ठीक खाना नहीं खा रहे, आपके बदन में ट्रिप्टोफान नहीं जा रहा है, फाइबर नहीं जा रहा है, सेरोटोनिन नहीं बन रहा है, तो नेचुरली कुछ तो असर हो गई. So I'd say mild cases of stress, anxiety, certainly lifestyle related. But if you're talking about clinical depression, then there's a whole host of possible reasons. Okay. And unfortunately, I'm not an expert in that subject at all.
Okay. Controlling calorie count, will that impact blood pressure as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I don't want to give loose answers. So I don't want to misstate what I'm saying.
Right.
Like I said, one of the reasons for blood pressure was you were eating too much. That converted into stored fat. That stored fat started going into your bloodstream, started creating blockages. So your blood pressure went up. One possible reason for blood pressure.
Right.
So अगर मान लीजिए आपने कैलोरी कंट्रोल किया तो कम से कम वो कारण तो खत्म हो गया. अब मान लीजिए आपके किडनी स्टिक्स नहीं चल रहे हैं, उसके लिए आपको ब्लड प्रेशर हो रहा है. That can still remain. So I don't want to give a flippant answer. I'm not saying that just आप खाना कंट्रोल कर लो आपका ब्लड प्रेशर गायब हो जाएगा. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are reasons in your lifestyle that are also causing blood pressure. At least that आप control कर सकते.
Right, you plug in one at least.
Exactly.
That's in your hand, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Impact of wheat and rice on diabetes. Rice we discussed. So quantity and its role on diabetes. Wheat as well. I think wheat is another thing that there's a lot of different notions going around there.
Sure. So देखिए सब चीज sugar है. When you say sugar, actually you're really referring to what you call a carbohydrate.
Right.
Excess carbohydrate is going to give you diabetes. But for our understanding, all fruits are carbohydrates, all vegetables are carbohydrates, all lentils are carbohydrates, all grains are carbohydrates, a lot of dairy is carbohydrate. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि गेहूं खाने से आपको डायबिटीज हुआ.
Right.
सारे 5 चीज खाए, बहुत ज्यादा खाया, तब जाके आपको डायबिटीज हुआ. तो मान लीजिए दिन में कोई एक इंसान एक रोटी खा रहा है, बाकी का खाना सारा कंट्रोल्ड है, तो ठीक है, कुछ नहीं होगा.
Yeah, then the wheat won't impact.
Then it won't. But if you eat 6 rotis every meal,
right,
plus, then you can blame the wheat, but actually it's not the wheat, it's everything.
Is there any combination of these 6 components which should be avoided, like avoid this with this out of the 6?
जी. नहीं, जैसे मैंने कहा आयुर्वेदा में है, and again I'm not an expert in Ayurveda. I read a lot of Ayurvedic sort of documents. This because very interesting. A lot of what they've been saying is now what we are trying to say in a more sophisticated way. But I think all that science is actually lies, it is all sort of there in Ayurveda.
Right.
So Ayurveda कहता combine नहीं करें. At least I have not read any science that tells me that it's true.
Okay. So just allow me 1 minute. I just want to go through the questions on YouTube, which I haven't been looking into. How to manage your health if you are spending 12 plus hours at work?
Sure. No, so I can give you my example. Like prior to 2020, on average I was traveling 5 days a week. I have a desk-bound job, big data company. हम लोग क्या करते हैं? We just stare at computers all day long.
Right.
ऐसे भी that's our life.
Right.
But when this whole process or journey started for me, one of the most important things that happened as soon as I got hooked was I also said, I have to now do whatever I need to do. I have to take accountability for my own life. तो चाहे मैं 12 घंटा डेस्क के सामने बैठ के काम कर रहा हूँ या मैं मजदूर हूँ, जिम्मेदारी मेरी है. तो अगर आप सही चीज करें, आप 12 घंटा काम करो तब भी आपको आउटकम आएगा, 12 घंटा मजदूरी करो तब भी आउटकम आएगा. So I think take the accountability. It's not that which is giving you the problem. It's everything together which is giving you the problem. आप 12 घंटा काम कर रहे हैं, बीच में संदीप से पूछ लो, he will tell you how to do a 2-hour workout. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
Yeah.
Just look at his fitness levels. It's incredible.
Right. True. Okay, your advice on organic and plant-derived protein supplement.
Sure. Yeah, so again, it's fine. They say at the end, at some point, this will become your religion. So मेरा एक religion बना है, आपका भी एक religion बनेगा. अगर आपका religion में organic है तो ठीक है. अगर आपके religion में plant-based protein है तो वो भी ठीक है. अगर आपको non-vegetarian खाना है तो there are 100 people who say आप मर जाओगे, and there's 100 people who say आप नहीं खाओगे तो मर जाओगे. So I think you have to craft your own religion. That's what I've done for myself. I don't want to box myself into a particular sort of ism and say अब मैं vegan बन गया तो अब मैं vegan ही करूँगा. मैंने try किया last year मैंने, because I was reading, so I stopped all dairy. मेरे हाथ दुखने लग गए. My joints started hurting. So I went back to having dahi. I said, vegan or no vegan, I don't want my hand to hurt.
True.
Right. So I don't want to box myself into a particular slot. Pick what is useful to you and then create your own religion. I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Right. Coconut oil. I remember we had once spoken about.
Talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, what's your take on that?
No, so I think it's wonderful for you. I know there are research studies that keep coming out,
right,
saying saturated fat hai, ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega. Right, but it's a question of how much. अब ये सोचिए ना मैं 1000 कैलोरी अगर खा रहा हूँ, तो उसमें कितना कोकोनट ऑयल खाऊंगा?
Exactly. What about
like एक चम्मच कोकोनट ऑयल से ज्यादा का जगह भी नहीं है.
Right. What about oil pulling?
Yeah, that's wonderful for you. There's my dad has been doing it for 20 years. Wow. I used to always laugh at him. So पता नहीं क्या अजीब चीज करते हैं. Till I read the science. Science is very simple. When you put a sticky substance into your mouth, all the plaque and bacteria will stick to that sticky substance. And if anyone does oil pulling, they know you don't actually swallow, you throw it out. So what you've done is essentially put a sticky substance into your mouth, allow that stuff in your mouth to stick to it, and then you throw it out. It's wonderful for you. You remove toxins, bacteria, plaque. बहुत अच्छा है आपके लिए.
I've been doing this for 2 years, but I just wanted this out for everybody else to understand how this has been helping. One question: can you skip dinner rather than skipping breakfast and maintain intermittent fasting for 14 plus hours?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? In fact, the main meal 100 years ago was 2. You ate at 4:35 in the morning because you went to the field or whatever, and then आप वापस आके 12, 1, 2 बजे आप कुछ खाते. पिक्चर्स में दिखाते कि राजा रात को बैंक्वेट कर रहा है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता था. रात को अंधेरा था. कोई किसी को नहीं बुलाता था घर पे because there were rats running all over the place.
Right.
So your main meal was actually lunch.
Right. So for a healthy person, someone just having an average weight, not having lifestyle issues as such.
Yeah.
What is the proper what is a limitation to sugar intake on a day-to-day basis, whether it's coming from fruits or how do we define how much sugar is okay?
Sure. No, so again, I like a lot of people then start counting macros, right? How much carbohydrate, how much protein, how much fat, etc., etc.
Right.
I'm not talking of somebody like Sandeep who's athletic. Right? He's got a goal that I want a certain amount of this and that and the other.
Right.
Some of the other people who've spoken on this in this event, runners, for example, running a very long marathon. See, for them to be managing all of this in a very fine basis is useful.
True.
But I think for the most average people, like I said, if you just eat the foods, the 6 categories that I talked about, where 60-70% of your food is fruits and vegetables, you're fine. उसके बाद में कुछ गिनती करने का जरूरत नहीं. Why complicate your life? No?
Right. Yeah, I don't like to get into this calculating what's going on.
आप कर भी नहीं पाएंगे. 10 दिन करेंगे फिर बोर हो जाओगे.
Exactly. I think that's why most of the people end up leaving a diet plan or a regime that they get into is because it's kind of becomes stressful.
Exactly.
To just get into that details and have this thing on mind that, did I have this in the morning? Then, what can I have at night? And somewhere you lose it. And then you're back to square one.
Exactly. So find a natural flow for yourself instead of some sort of a military regime ki 9 baje ye karo, 10 baje ye karo, 11 baje ye karo, 12 baje ye karo. Aap kar nahi paoge. I don't know anybody who can do that.
Right. Anything on role of exercise?
Yeah, sure, of course. So how can when Sandeep's on the show, how can I not talk about exercise, right?
That's why I thought that we must touch upon.
Of course. No. So again, I have no hesitation in saying this. As a Marwadi, I grew up not thinking exercise mattered.
Right.
I thought reading books mattered, for example. Working mattered, for example. But exercise is absolutely essential for your body because that gives you renewal. Right. So after the age of 30, your muscles are dying. Your bones are getting weaker, your heart is getting weaker, your lung is getting weaker. Exercise is for that. It's to replenish all the cells in your bone, muscle, heart, and lung. So if you did exercise even 3-5 times a week, half an hour a day, some intensive form of exercise, obviously Sandeep would probably tell you much better. It's essential because that's what's keeping your heart, lung, bone and muscle strong. Otherwise, क्या होगा आप जब 60-65 के होगे, even sitting and standing will become difficult for you. True. So you certainly want to maintain the capacity to function, physically speaking, and that's why exercise is very important.
Great. So I think I have I just want to make sure I don't miss out on any questions that came up. I think I've covered almost all. There were some very similar questions, and some you had already spoken in your talk, so I'm not getting into that. 3 simple steps to bring the transformation that anyone can get onto, the simplest 3 process things.
Sure, thank you. I can wrap up maybe with that.
Right.
But I think the 3 simple steps is, first, have great hope, because there is actually a possible route for you to be healthy. Second, understand the principles, which is homeostasis, balance. Your body has limits. And then obviously start with nutrition. Nutrition is clearly the key to a lot of unhealthy sort of outcomes. So start with nutrition. In nutrition, like I said, quantity and composition. Eat as much as you need and eat everything you need, and you'll be fine. Or kuch nahi zarurat.
Okay. Any good book to read that covers homeostasis?
Homeostasis पे मैंने किताब अच्छा कोई नहीं पढ़ा है. Of course, I picked it from here and there.
Okay.
Is it okay if I send you a text that we can just post somewhere? There are a bunch of books that might be useful.
Yeah, we can post this on the website there. Yes, so this has been really, really insightful, and a lot of I know the questions were very, some of the questions I chose to ask, they're very, very common. Everybody has them on mind, and maybe they've heard the answers several times before as well. But coming from somebody who's been there, gone through it, and learned it scientifically as well, so this was important. So great, thank you so much, Ritesh, and everyone on this show. I would so you can connect with Ritesh on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, and his website is www.riteshbawri.com, and he posts every morning one very insightful health tip. I recommend everyone subscribing to that. I think in 1 year you get 365 of these, and you have your learnings all in place when it comes to healthy living.
Thank you.
So do connect with him and follow him on Twitter, and you will find a lot of helpful hints, and that keeps you going, that keeps you inspiring. So thanks so much for your time and for sharing so much with us. And now people can people can get in touch with you directly.
Sure, of course, anyone.
Their specific queries that they may have.
Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you, Sangeet.
Thank you so much.
It was wonderful actually, and my wife is here with me, and she said कि रितेश ने बोला बैलेंस खा सकते हो, तो मैं कल से थोड़ा भुजिया खा सकती हूँ.
She can afford to have anything, and she's even fitter than Sandeep sometimes. She looks even fitter.
I see.
So she's
wonderful. I look forward to meeting both of you all actually someday.
Next time whenever we are in town. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And stay safe. Keep going with your challenge, and we are just 5 weeks, so we still have almost 7 weeks left, and hope we end up this 100 days in our fittest best.